Food, females, and feces.
I mean, is there anything else that men need? Let's be honest.
Probably not, Gina.
Right?
Probably not. What's up, Animal Fight Clubbers? This is the Animal Fight Club podcast, the comedy podcast where we figure out which animals would win in a fight. My name is Dan. Quinn and Alexandrea are on vacation right now in Morocco. So I brought in a couple of special guests today. So do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Gina, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, my name's Gina, and I'm friends with Dan and Nicky. We've been friends since high school, and cool dudes.
Are you excited to be here, Gina?
I'm really excited to be here.
Nicky, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Nicky. I'm Daniel's younger brother, and I'm a big fan and excited to be on the podcast.
We're really excited. Today's going to be a really good episode. And usually we like to go with really amazing animals. And our animals today are super, super amazing, but maybe not that intimidating. And honestly, kind of weird. So today we are going to be discussing who would win in a fight in between a sloth and a koala bear.
Koala, walla, walla. We have some koality jokes for you guys today, some koality facts. Really excited to talk about the koalifications of said animals. Please continue.
So coming into today's episode, Gina and Nicky, you guys both don't know anything about the sloths yet, but what's your initial impressions? How are you feeling with the research that you've done about koala bears?
I mean, I am kind of jealous of koala bears. I think if I had to pick one animal, it might be a koala bear.
Really?
After this, yeah.
I'm excited to learn why.
It's the multiple vaginas. I'll just tell you right now. At least I would assume. I mean, I can't speak on her behalf.
It's not that.
Is that why you want to be a koala bear too, Nicky?
Yes. Well, the more the merrier, as they say.
I love it. And I'm feeling really good too because sloths, you guys are about to be wowed by sloths. They are probably some of the most ridiculous creatures I've ever learned about. And honestly, I'm not even sure how sloths are even alive still. So sloths, they're blind, deaf, slow, and they can starve to death on a full stomach.
Sounds like my father-in-law.
I'm going to start off teaching you guys a little bit about the sloths. But the first thing that I want to say is, do you know who George Buffon is?
Never heard of him.
No, not aware.
So George Buffon was a French naturalist in the 1700s, and he actually came all the way from France to South America, where the sloths live, and he got to study the sloths in person. And when he was writing about the sloths, this is what he said, quote, "Slowness, habitual pain, and stupidity are the results of this strange and bungled conformation. These sloths are the lowest form of existence. One more defect would make their lives impossible." End quote.
So was he talking about the South Americans or the sloths? No, I only say, I mean, we all know how the French feel about, Latin Americans. I don't think that's any surprise, especially 17th century French. I mean, not known for cultural acceptance, but.
I mean, I think that was a great quote.
So Buffon, that's what he said. And he probably thought that he was really smart, and he was on his elitist high horse because he was hanging out with the likes of Voltaire and all that stuff. But I think Buffon is really stupid because he didn't know about any of the sloth's superpowers, and I think sloths are awesome.
Well, let's hear some of these powers.
We'll get into all of that. But first, just a little bit of a backdrop so you can understand where the sloths are coming from. So in terms of taxonomy, sloths are all part of the Folivora suborder, and there's basically two main types of living sloths right now. There's the two-toed sloths and the three-toed sloths.
Not much progress by means of evolution.
Well, here's a quick little tidbit. How many toes do you think the two-toed sloths have?
I mean, I'm guessing it's more than two.
I feel like Gina's right. You wouldn't ask that question if the answer was two.
It's a little bit more than two. It's got to be.
Maybe it's one, though.
What is it?
Yeah, so two-toed sloths have 3 toes. How many do you think three-toed sloths have?
5 toes.
Three-toed sloths also have 3 toes. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a, what's the
misnomer.
Word? It's a little bit of a misnomer. Two-toed sloths actually only have 2 fingers.
That makes sense.
Is it difficult to distinguish between fingers and toes on these things? Are they?
Well, I think the fingers are the ones on the arms, where that are closer to the head, and the toes are the ones that are on the legs, which are farther away from the head.
Yes, that's the kind of insight that 7 weeks of Animal Fight Club provides.
And, there were more badass versions of sloths like millions of years ago. And they actually, there were sloths back in the day that were huge and that were actually able to fight bears, but they all went extinct. So I find it kind of ironic and weird that the sloths that ended up surviving are weird, to say the least.
No, that seems like a tortoise and the hare kind of deal,
Maybe the weaker ones just survived.
The weaker ones definitely did survive. And for this battle, what I did is I'm choosing to talk about specifically the two-toed sloths. However, I'm going to be giving a lot of information about three-toed sloths as well. So unless I say something specifically, most of or all of the information is going to be about two-toed sloths, but the sloths have very, very similar body types and similarities. So most of the things are going to be the same for both of them.
Okay, so are they in the same place? Two-toed and three-toed sloths?
Yeah, they're all across Central and South America.
Okay.
Yeah.
How far, do they make it to Mexico, or is it south of?
I think some might make it to Mexico, but most of them Central and South America. A lot of them live in the Amazon and stuff like that. Costa Rica, I know they make it up to there. So in terms of size, two-toed sloths are actually the biggest of the sloth species. They can be up to 2.6 feet long, and they can weigh as much as 24 pounds. So most of the time, they're more around 13 to 18 pounds, but 24 pounds is something that they are able to make it up to. So pretty big. And in terms of appearance, I think most people kind of know what a sloth looks like, but I'll talk about their appearance anyways.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say? How do they look?
10s.
10s?
Oh, they're easy 10s.
That explains your history of relationships. Please continue.
In terms of appearance, they can be described as furry, long arms, giant claws, beady little eyes, a dog-like nose, and a really kind of weird smile. It really kind of looks like they're just high all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then their arms are pretty big too. So three-toed sloths specifically, their arms are 50% longer than their legs.
Oh, wow.
So they have a pretty good ape index. Great for rock climbers and just climbing things in general. And we'll get to this in a little bit, but sloths are excellent climbers.
So basically you'd like to have those arms.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if I had the ape index if I could do half of the things that a sloth could do on the rock wall, I would be a better rock climber than Alex Honnold.
Who's Alex Honnold?
Alex Honnold is probably like the most famous rock climber in the world. He's really famous for free soloing El Capitan, which is the big wall in Yosemite in California. He is able to get up all the way to the top without using any ropes. I've actually done a lot of the same routes as Alex Honnold, but I've done them with ropes. He does them without ropes, so if he falls, he dies.
Let me ask you this, Gina. Is from a female perspective,
Mm-hmm.
do you find it attractive when men have extraordinarily long arms? Is that something you see across the bar and you say, "Oh, look at those arms! Oh my God, his arms! They're so long."
Long? I don't
He
know.
has ape arms. Oh, it's monkey arms.
Does the arms match the legs?
God,
I
such
mean,
arms. Look at those arms.
if they're like way longer, I don't know. But like arms in general are pretty good. Like if you have big arms, long arms, strong arms, like koalas. Koalas have strong arms too. So
I can't wait to learn about the koala bear's long arms. But yeah, like I said, sloths are really good climbers, but they're not very fast climbers. In fact, they are incredibly slow. Like they can barely move. And do you guys know how fast they go? Do you want to take a guess?
Should we guess in miles per hour?
That's actually a really good point because sloths, all of the measurements that I found on sloths are not in like miles per hour or kilometers per hour. They're in feet per minute.
oh my God, that is interesting.
At their top speed, when they're maybe like running away from a predator or if they're like running to get to a mate, do you want to take a guess of how fast they're going?
Gina, you go.
Feet per minute. Oh man, I would say like 5.
I was going to guess 3.
They're actually a lot faster than that. They're 15 feet a minute.
Oh, we were
That
way
doesn't
under.
sound bad. I don't know if I could climb 15 feet per minute. I mean, that's
15 feet per minute is very, very slow.
How much is a regular human, would you say? Feet per minute.
So if we were running on the ground, which is our natural environment, the trees are the sloth's natural environment. But if a human was on the ground, I mean, it would take like a second or two to get to 15 feet.
Okay, what about walking?
But wait, can a sloth walk or can it only climb?
So sloths cannot walk. They do get on the ground sometimes, but in order to, when they're on the ground, they are literally dragging themselves on the ground. And it's kind of like a horror movie victim. Like, like if you watch a horror movie when the girl like trips over herself and she's like slowly dragging herself to get away from like Jason or Freddy or whoever that's moving really, really slowly. That's kind of how sloths move on the ground. And on the ground, they're only at 9.8 feet per minute.
I bet that's really ugly.
Yeah,
I want to see a video of that.
I'll show you. It's
You would think even rolling would just be faster than that.
Rolling.
If you just,
I don't know if sloths have the ability to roll,
I think anything can roll. I mean, you just push it.
but bottom line is they're slow. And the one thing that was really surprising about their mobility is that they are surprisingly good swimmers.
Oh.
So Buffon obviously did not analyze sloth swimming abilities because they are surprisingly good swimmers. They use their long arms to paddle across rivers, and they have really good stamina in the water. And not only do they have good stamina in the water, but they can hold their breath underwater for 40 minutes.
Oh, wow. That's
What?
intriguing.
Yeah,
I would have never thought that.
it's superpowers. The sloths have superpowers.
40 minutes. How do they test this? What I mean, did they just like dunk one out of the water? And I mean, how are they getting this fact?
So a lot of people have been doing research on sloths, and there's this one particular girl. Her name is Dr. Becky Cliff. She is the founder of the Sloth Conservation Foundation, and most of the information that I got is from her. She is kind of like the Michael Jordan or LeBron James of sloth researchers.
So this lady has just dedicated her life to sloth.
I wonder what her husband's like.
I don't know. I didn't get into that, but
Hopefully he's not like a sloth.
well, in some ways, it might be.
Aren't all men, though, at the end of the day?
Ain't that the truth?
But yeah, so they can hold their breath underwater for up to 40 minutes at a time. And the way that they do this is they can actually suppress their metabolism, and that reduces their heart rate up to 1/3 of its normal rate. So not a lot of animals, or at least not a lot of mammals especially, have the ability to suppress their metabolisms, but that is one of the superpowers that sloths are able to do. The metabolism for a sloth is insanely low, and their slow metabolism is probably the majority of the reason why they're so slow in the first place.
Wait. So they slow their metabolism, or it's naturally slow?
Both.
Or both?
Both. But yeah, so everything about a sloth, including their metabolism, is about conserving energy. It's really kind of interesting because sloths have turned into this weird kind of hybrid of warm and cold-blooded. Depending on where you look, some people say that they are poikilothers, which basically just means that they're cold-blooded. Some people say that they're warm-blooded. It's really kind of a combination. And their regular body temperature, for example, is in between 86 to 93 degrees Fahrenheit. So already it's low. And they like to stay within that range. But depending on the weather, their body heat will go up or down. And it's really interesting because when the temperature goes up, do you think that they will become more active or less active?
Less active.
Exactly. And when it's cold, do you think that they become more active or less active?
Less active.
No, they become more active.
No, they become less active.
Oh.
Sounds like these guys are fishing for an excuse.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Goldilocks. It gets too hot, they need to take a nap. Gets too cold, they need to take a nap.
Oh my God, I love that for them.
Can't blame them. I mean, I'm right there.
Yeah, I'm
that's
same.
I never knew I was an oculiotherm all these years.
Poikilothers.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, poikilothers. And the big thing that they need to watch out for is if it gets too cold, usually 68 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, their body temperature will drop so much that they will start to induce torpor. And torpor is essentially just temporary hibernation. So they will hibernate like bears, but only temporary.
Just by accident. Like it just happens naturally. Or is it like they are they're feeling cold and they're like, this is the time.
I think
or
they
their
do it on
body just
purpose.
shuts down.
You know, that was unclear whether they do it on purpose or whether it's just a natural body reaction, but they do it. And they don't really have a lot of defenses against getting cold. For example, they can't shiver. Their bodies don't work enough to shiver.
I just want to hug them now when they're cold.
I'm sure that they would, actually, I don't know if
Yeah,
they would
I don't
appreciate
know.
the hugs. But anyways, so they have really low body heat. And one of the reasons why they have low body heat is, like I said, to conserve energy. And one of the reasons why they need to conserve all the energy is because their food has very little nutrients. Their diet is not what I would call like the most substantial diet in the world. Sloths almost exclusively eat leaves. Their favorite leaves are the young leaves that grow near the top of trees.
The veal of leaves.
The veal of leaves. But the thing is, those are their favorites, but they barely eat them. Like, they do not eat that much food. How many leaves do you think a sloth would eat? Like, a minimum?
Of young leaves or general leaves in general?
Young leaves.
Is that they only eat young leaves?
They'll eat any leaves, but they prefer the young leaves.
It's like men. They'll eat anything, but they prefer the young ones.
That is very true. But yeah, some three-toed sloths will eat as little as 3 leaves a day. That's about 17 grams.
Yeah, one for breakfast, one for lunch,
One for dinner.
for dinner. That sounds right.
Sounds like a high school girl on a diet.
That's exactly right. Bigger sloths, they might eat a couple more ounces. Obviously, the two-toed sloths are the biggest, so they'll eat up to 130 to 300 calories depending on the sloth. But still, 130 to 300 calories, not that much.
Yeah, that's nothing.
It's still only a fraction of what other animals would eat. And then the other thing that I found, and I didn't even know that there was a word for this, but sometimes sloths will eat dirt too, and that's called geophagy. So if you've ever seen like a dog or something eat dirt, there's a name for it.
Oh, I've seen dogs eat a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
not so much dirt. So what's the point? They just like the flavor, or it has...
Scientists think that dirt can add nutrients that they might be missing.
Okay. That goes for humans too.
Oh, that's right. There was an episode of Catherine the Great.
Yes.
And
oh
she
my
was
God.
just eating dirt.
She was craving
the
dirt
whole season.
because she was lacking some minerals or something.
Yeah, so there you have it. Two-toed sloths, just like Catherine the Great.
I always thought she was a sloth, but...
And then once they eat it, they don't really get rid of that food for a while. So sloths have the slowest digestive rates of any mammal, like really slow. It takes up to 30 days for a sloth to fully digest a leaf.
One leaf?
Wow.
One leaf.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm sure that they're going to go multiple leaves at a time, but yeah, in general, sloths will take 30 days to digest a leaf. And part of the reason for that is the way that their stomachs work out. So humans, we have like a 1-chambered stomach, but sloths actually have 4-chambered stomachs. And the first 3 chambers use this special symbiotic bacteria that live in their stomachs to break down all the cellulose and things that are difficult to break down in the leaves. And then their fourth stomach is used just like our stomach, where their fourth stomach will have natural enzymes and acids, and that's kind of like a normal stomach. But that's part of the reason why the sloths take so much time to digest their food.
So each stomach gets its own leaf, you're saying. And then there's one extra in case one of the stomachs goes down for some reason.
I mean, not exactly, but basically. Like, you're not going to have a lot of leaves in a particular stomach.
Amazing.
And the weirdest thing, and I don't know how sloths survived like this, but that symbiotic bacteria in the sloth's stomach needs to be a certain temperature or else it'll die. So if you remember, the first fact I ever gave you about sloths was that sloths can starve to death on a full stomach.
Right.
So if it gets too cold, the bacteria in their stomach will actually die. The sloths will not be able to break down their food, and it will actually cause them to starve to death on a full stomach.
Wow.
Yeah. So yikes for the sloths.
Yikes indeed.
They are some fragile animals, it seems like.
Right.
And then, like I said, it takes them 30 days to digest their food. And because of their slow digestion, sloths have actually developed the ability not to fart.
You're kidding. Now that is where Big Pharma is headed.
Nikki, is that your personal dream? Not to fart?
Well, no, I personally enjoy it, but
Nikki, you want to be able to be like a sloth and not fart?
it would be nice. Business meetings, weddings, bar
Dates.
mitzvahs. I mean, you name it. There's always a time to quash the pain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So do you want to know what they do instead of farting?
What do they do?
Oh, God. Does it come back up? It goes like through their stomachs and comes back out the front?
Not through their stomachs. So the buildup of gases inside of their intestines, this is after it's passed the stomach, actually gets reabsorbed into their bloodstream, then goes out the mouth, kind of like a burp, but not really a burp because it's literal fart breath. It's the gases from their intestines go into their bloodstream, out their mouth.
I take it back. Actually, the farts aren't so bad now that I think about it.
So it's a fart out of their mouth.
It's a fart out of their mouth. It's literal fart breath.
Wow.
Yes, stank breath.
Yeah, so they don't fart. And
Fart, burp, a furp,
A furp.
or a Bart.
a furp. But yeah, so sloths, they don't fart and they poop only once a week.
Nikki's dream.
Gina, you keep saying Nikki, but I know you enjoy this as much as I do.
I mean,
Wow, once a week. Do they get to choose, though, or is this like when it's coming, it's time to go? Or
So they actually have like an entire pooping ritual that they do.
oh my God,
It is
even
fantastic.
better. Oh my God.
that does sound nice.
Yeah.
That's like kind of like humans, I would say.
Well, for sloths, pooping is the most dangerous part of their life.
Oh yeah, no, that's it. That's true.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I never know if I'm going to make it. I mean, it could all be over
Nikki, I think
in a flash.
Nikki, I think you're thinking you're part sloth right now.
Yeah, well, I've always felt some kind of camaraderie with them.
But yeah, so pooping, real big deal for sloths. And the most impressive thing is not that they poop once a week, it's how much they poop. So sloths will poop 30% of their body mass.
Oh, wow.
How? It's just leaves. I mean, how is
Well,
this
after
even
like
possible?
what did you say? How many times do they go? Once a week?
Once a week. So sloths will poop up to 30% of their body mass. And I kind of like did like some math, right? So if you're an average 160-pound male, that would be the equivalent of pooping 48 pounds.
But when you think
Oh my
about it,
God.
it adds up. If you were to total your weight of 1 week's worth
Yeah,
of
I guess 1
your
week,
own
yeah.
droppings, that sounds about right.
And that's why I'm glad I poop more than once a week. Can you imagine being a sloth plumber?
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Like that would be
30
the worst.
pounds.
Yeah, that would be like the worst job in the world. But yeah, so sloths will poop 30%. The equivalent for a 160-pound male would be 48 pounds.
And is this one single coil, or is this
Oh.
dropping off babies at the pool? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Not sure. I think it's dropping off babies at the pool.
Okay.
But I didn't do too much research on the visuals of the sloth poop.
That seems like a thing you might, given the fact that it's 48 pounds.
So one more comparison that I had with it. In pregnancy, a human, right? The average baby will weigh 8 pounds. And you know how much bigger girls get, when they're pregnant with like a 8-pound baby. Sometimes if they're twins, it'll be 16 pounds worth of baby. They are pooping the equivalent of 6 babies
At once.
at once,
Oh, my God.
every week.
And hence the ritual of it.
And yeah, right. You'd have to make that a ritual.
This isn't a small affair.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so let's talk about their ritual, right?
And then why don't we all share our own rituals after?
Nikki doesn't like to go in public restrooms.
I mean, who does?
It's true. This is a fear of mine since childhood that I have not overcome.
But yeah, so when they go down to poop, what they actually do is they will come down to the floor of the jungle to poop. So they won't poop from the trees. They'll actually come all the way down. And that's why it's so risky, because sloths I was talking about how they are so slow and they're literally dragging themselves on the ground floor. But yeah, so that's part of why it's so risky. The little stat that I found is up to 60% of predator-based deaths for sloths are during their pooping sessions.
Wow.
But yeah, so they come down to the floor to poop. And when they actually poop, they have a little poop dance that they like to do.
Oh, my God. I need to see that.
So I was talking about Dr. Becky Cliff. She has seen many of these poop dances, apparently, and she describes it as it's like twerking.
Oh, my God. Amazing.
They will come down from the trees, twerk, and when they're twerking, they're actually digging a little hole for their poop. Then they'll poop, and then they do the poop dance again to bury it.
I mean, they're so excited probably to poop. That's why they have a dance.
I would be excited to poop too
I
if
would
I didn't
dance
poop
too.
for a week.
Wait, I have a question. So, do they come down from their trees often, or is it just to poop?
Just to poop.
Oh my God.
Well,
okay.
There are a few other reasons why they come down, mostly if they fall from trees, but it's basically if they fall from trees or if they have to poop is when they'll come down.
So their big special outing of the day is to poop.
Is there? You would imagine that it's just to bury it. That's like the main reason for going down. Or I guess I want to know: is there any reason why they won't just poop from a tree? I mean, it seems substantially easier.
Yeah, so there's a handful of reasons. So one of the reasons that they say is to bury it because they're so slow that if an animal were to see the poop and realize that a sloth is up in the tree, they can't really do anything. So that's part of the reason. Other reasons why some scientists have suggested is that it actually might help attract mates. Like they'll put pheromones in their poop to say, hey, look at me. And then other reasons, and I'll talk about this a little more here in a second, but they have moths that live in their fur, and the moths that live in their fur will lay their eggs in the sloth poop. So it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship.
Wait, are you saying moth or moss?
Moth, like the stuff that flies.
That live in their fur?
This just gets worse and worse.
Yeah, so that's,
Oh, this is revolting.
So let's talk a little bit about their fur.
Gross.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about their fur and the things that live in it. So, like I said, moths live in sloth fur, and it's not just moths. It's beetles and cockroaches too.
Oh, no.
Wow. So they don't have, they have chinchilla jackets. There's no such thing as a sloth scarf or something like that.
Nobody
Sloth
wants
fur
sloth
scarf.
fur. You want cockroach is in your fur, Nikki? I don't know.
I just
think so.
you never know.
Nobody wants sloth fur. It's probably protected them from poachers. Fuck poachers, by the way.
Poachers.
Fuck poachers.
I mean,
Very anti-poacher.
every
on this
time I listen
podcast.
to the podcast, I just gotta say it along.
But yeah, so nobody wants the sloth fur because it's filled with moths, beetles, and cockroaches. And the little statistic that they gave, they say about 1,000 bugs can live on a sloth at any given time. And sloth fur, it's basically its own ecosystem. So it has the bugs, it has the moths, it has the cockroaches, it has the beetles, and it actually has more than that too. So sloth fur has these special little cracks, and the cracks in the fur allow algae to grow in the fur really, really easily. And that's why if you've ever seen a sloth, you'll notice that it's usually a little bit green and it's covered in algae. And that algae serves two purposes. One, it will give them a little bit more camouflage so that they can hide from predators.
Yeah.
And two, the sloths will eat it if they get hungry.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. You know, a little leaf au jus with you
With
dip
the
the leaves in the moss or the algae and
I mean,
have
it's
yourself
great.
a buffet. I mean, you got yourself a stew, baby.
It's fantastic. Like, can you imagine having your own little garden, like, on your back,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
filled with proteins of beetles and stuff like that?
I just, with the cockroaches, it's like, I can't.
Well, these are South American cockroaches. These are...
I mean, the just word cockroaches.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with that.
As a person that's had cockroaches in their house, they're freaking awful.
But yeah, so the sloths have a lot of algae, and in addition to algae, they have fungi too. They have up to 84 different types of fungi. So there was a study, right? A scientific study that was done. I actually consulted with a PhD pathologist about this, and they had a scientific study that went into like a really highly reputable scientific journal, and they found that the sloth fur has up to 84 different types of fungi, and this fungi on the sloth fur is actually really, really cool. So it can actually help fight Chagas, malaria, and breast cancer, specifically the MCF-7
Oh,
cells.
you're kidding me, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
And to think, The Last of Us has been making fungus look so bad
Oh
for
my
the past
God,
2
right.
weeks.
Yeah. So Last of Us, HBO.
They owe us an apology.
Yeah. Fungi can be good. I love eating mushrooms.
Oh, mushrooms are so good.
But like I said, sloth fur has a bunch of fungi on it, and it can be used to help breast cancer. And it's just like they're being controlled by the fungi from The Last of Us. Anyways, so as we're saying, they have the crazy fur that's filled with the algae, and it's used to protect themselves. But they really need that camouflage because sloths are kind of deaf and blind.
Oh my God.
They're just
on top of everything.
an easy predator, you're saying.
Yeah, or an easy prey. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So like I said, they're mostly deaf and blind. And they have a condition called rod monochromacy. And that means that they have no cones in their eyes. And the cones are what allows them to see color. So they are completely colorblind, and then they're completely blind during the day. And so at night or at dusk, they can kind of see a little bit, but they're essentially blind.
So, like, what can they do?
They can swim.
Yeah, that's...
Hold their breath.
Oh, for 40 minutes, right?
Now that
is impressive.
Yeah.
They can hold their breath. And actually, they have an amazing sense of smell. Absolutely incredible.
They better. They need
You
something.
smell that 48 pounds of shit they make.
In addition to their great sense of smell, they're actually quite strong, physically strong. So if you look up how strong is a sloth on the internet, the first thing that you're going to see is that you're going to see a lot of things saying that sloths are 3 times stronger than humans. And that is kind of like a half-truth, right? So what they mean by that is sloth grip strength is about 3 times stronger than humans per pound. So it is proportionally 3 times stronger than a human.
Is that the same between 2-toed and 3-toed, though? You'd imagine one extra finger, 33%.
I would imagine 2-toed might be...
Oh, the math is not good.
Yeah. I would imagine 2-toes might be a little bit stronger, but it's about the same. Just in general, sloths, they have way lower muscle mass. They have a muscle mass of about 25 to 30%, and humans have a muscle mass of about 40 to 45%, which actually makes their proportional grip strength that much more impressive. A couple of the feats of strength that they're able to do: baby sloth at birth can do a one-handed pull-up.
How did you figure that out?
Can you do a muscle up, though? That's the real question.
Probably. So that's pretty impressive.
That is impressive.
They can easily hang from one limb for over 10 minutes.
Oh, my gosh.
And this is just the babies, you're saying?
Yeah. So I watched a YouTube video. There is a famous rock climber. His name is Magnus Migmo, and he's like a YouTube influencer. And he was doing a video with this other influencer named Brandon William. And they were on Muscle Beach in California.
Oh, I saw that.
You saw that video?
Yeah.
So for Gina and for the audience that didn't see it, they did a video trying to see how long people could hang with 2 hands. And this was at Muscle Beach. So they were taking all like the most muscly guys, like the strongest, fittest dudes.
LA meatheads.
Right.
Exactly. And the longest any of them did was 3 minutes and 39 seconds. And we're talking like a baby sloth can hang one-handed 10 minutes, not even a problem.
Wow.
So quite strong. And then I don't know how they measured this last feat of strength, or I don't know who observed it, but apparently they're strong enough to withstand a jaguar trying to rip them from a tree.
And then like a jaguar from, I remember a previous podcast has like a 15,000 pound swipe or something. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was a huge swipe force. So sloths, they're strong, at least grip strength. But yeah, so they're quite strong. And actually, a lot of research has been done by professor of zoology and biomechanics at Youngstown State University, Mike Butcher. This professor, he actually has been doing a lot of research on sloths to figure out how the fuck are they so strong?
They don't do anything.
Exactly. They don't do anything. Like, what gives? So Mike Butcher, he did some tests, and he found out that sloths have 52 muscles per arm. In comparison, humans have 24. And essentially, there's 2 main types of muscles. There's the fast twitch and the slow twitch. Sloths are almost entirely slow twitch muscles. And they have special tendons that allow them to lock their feet into place. It's actually crazy. So when they lock, sometimes they've actually found dead sloths that have just been hanging in a in a tree for...
Did they die on a full stomach, though?
They may have died on a full stomach.
Yeah, makes sense.
But so they can lock into place.
They died on a full stomach of 3 leaves.
Time to lock up.
Yeah, they're like, all right, we're done here. 3 leaves and we're out. I'm just going to be here till I die.
But yeah, so in your arms, there's 2 types of muscles. You have the flexors and the extensors. And the flexors are what you do when you're doing like curls. They're for bending. And the extensors are when you're like extending, like presses. That would be an extensor. So the flexors in sloths are actually extremely strong. And that's why they are able to grip and pull as strongly as they can. And then in terms of muscle physics, there's this concept called the force velocity muscle curve. And basically what the force velocity muscle curve means is that the faster the velocity is of a muscle, the less force you're going to get out of it. So if you're moving your muscle really fast, less force. If you're moving your muscle really slow, more force. As we've been talking about this entire time, sloths, they're extremely slow. So they are able to get a lot of force out of their muscles.
So they're only strong because they're slow, is what you're saying.
Well, there's that.
And they have more muscles in their arms.
Yeah, they're strong because they're slow. They have more muscles in their arms. And
they don't do anything.
I don't think that's what makes them.
Okay.
They're hanging. They're always hanging.
I don't think it's conclusive whether or not,
You're right.
So Buffon obviously didn't look at the sloth strength. And the other thing that Buffon obviously didn't...
wait, did we discuss whether or not Buffon looked at the fur? Was that something he was observing too?
I have no idea if Buffon looked at the sloth fur.
See all the cornucopia of beetles and insects?
Anybody who looks at the sloth fur, that sucks.
And then what I think is maybe the weirdest sloth superpower is their ability to survive big falls.
Okay, tell us more about that.
So on average, about every week, sloths will fall hundreds of feet from like the tops of trees. So we're talking like at the very top of the Amazonian rainforest, hundreds of feet up, sloths will just fall down. And not only will they fall down, but they'll survive and they'll be totally fine.
Okay, but wait. Are we sure they're surviving these falls, or are they just not doing anything like they normally do? I
They
mean,
just get down there and stay down there.
like, are they just dead or
They
alive and living? Like, because they're kind of indistinguishable to some degree, it seems.
they are they are 100% surviving. Dr. Becky Cliff, she actually is the one that discovered this. She was doing a sloth research study.
And she started pushing them out of trees.
Dr. Becky Cliff,
Shame on you.
shame on you.
Disgusting.
Terrible.
Disgusting.
No, what she did was she gave the sloths these little motion transmitter backpacks, right? And she would map out and she would be able to look at the data of how fast and how long they were moving. And most of the time, the sloths were just not moving at all. So you can just imagine it's like no movement, no movement, no movement,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
movement, no movement. And then all of a sudden, she would see these huge spikes of
100 feet over the course of 2.5 seconds.
Of movement.
exactly. And she's like, what is going on here? And what she discovered is that the sloths were actually just falling from the trees.
Were they falling by accident, or had they just given up?
So there's two main ways that they fall, but most of the time it's by accident. So they're never meaning to fall. And
They're not hurling themselves from the trees and
no, they are either hurling
out
each
of
other.
disgust of their own fur.
They're either falling down because they're going to the tippy tops of the trees looking for the young leaves,
The veal leaves.
the
Yep.
veal leaves, and they are falling down because the branches are not big enough to support their weight,
Mhm.
or they're fighting for females.
Of
And
course.
exactly, and the males will knock the other males off the tree.
So that's something they are willing to do. They're willing to like move for females and pooping. That's like there's two things really.
Yeah,
Well,
those
three food too.
Food, yeah.
Yeah, so
Guess what else
food,
is there,
females, and feces.
I mean, is there anything else that men need? Let's be honest.
Probably not, Gina.
Right?
Probably not.
Can't convince me.
You give me food, feces, and females, I'm a happy man.
Even just feces, to be honest with you. Though. I could do without the others.
One of the reasons, it wasn't entirely clear all the reasons why they're able to survive, but one of the reasons why they're able to survive at least is that they have 46 ribs, which is a lot more than humans. Humans will have 24 ribs, and having those extra ribs allows them to survive these big falls. But there might be other reasons too. But
Wait a minute, I don't understand. I imagine that the ribs would just break like any other rib. I mean, it seems like if anything, they're just going to break more ribs upon the fall.
well, according to the internet, that's one of the reasons why they're able to survive these falls.
Well, it seems like sloths have some pretty weird superpowers, so like maybe that's one of them.
And then the other thing that kind of makes them a little bit dangerous is they have a really nasty bite.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They have to have something going for them.
Well, not all sloths, but yeah, two-toed sloths specifically, they have a pretty nasty bite.
Because that extra toe's in their mouth, right?
A bad case of foot and mouth disease.
Hand, foot, and mouth disease.
Foot in mouth disease. I like that.
But yeah, so they have these 4 large canoid teeth. Canoids is basically like canines, and they're on the side of their mouth, and they're sharp. And they're actually not only sharp, but they're self-sharpening because they rub together when they open and close their mouths. So they're always razor sharp.
Yikes. That's like grinding your teeth. Doesn't feel good.
It probably doesn't, but the teeth will grow continuously for life. So as they're grinding away, they're growing, and it's always staying
Like
super sharp.
beavers.
Just like beavers. Yeah, just like beavers. And then the teeth, they're kind of black. So there's a lot of tannins in their foods.
So in the leaves, in the veal leaves, baby veal leaves.
In the baby veal leaves, there's a lot of tannins in their food, and it turns their teeth black.
Are they drunk on these tannins?
I don't think so. I don't think that they are. But the teeth are black, and they have no outer enamel shell either.
Ooh, so they must have sensitive teeth.
Unclear.
Unclear.
I'm not sure that they would be smart enough to to feel the sense. I'm not sure if they would be smart enough to feel the lots. I'm Unclear. But yeah, so they don't have an outer enamel shell. And the last thing about their bite, which kind of makes it extra dangerous, is there's tons of bacteria in the mouth. So if they bite you, chances are you're going to get an infection.
Are there beetles in the mouth too?
There's beetles in the fur.
That just...
Fungus in the mouth.
I don't like that.
But yeah, so they have sharp bites. And in addition to their sharp, nasty bites, they have huge claws. I think I showed you guys how big their claws are, but just for some measurements, their claws are up to 10 centimeters long. And for reference, 10 centimeters is the exact same size as tiger claws.
What is that in inches?
Yeah, what is that in inches?
4 inches.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're big.
That'll do some damage.
Well, it could. The thing is, though, they're more blunt and they're used for hanging, not really for slashing. But what the sloth strategy is for fighting, because I know we're going to get to this later when they fight the koalas, is the sloths will use their claws to grab you, pull you in, and then bite you. And that's kind of like how they're going to fight.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And then when their claws break, I thought this was absolutely fascinating. When their claws break, they will actually regrow, right? They will actually regrow, but not normally. They'll regrow in a deformed way that's more similar to how reptiles regrow limbs. If you've seen before, reptiles, they can regrow limbs. Sloths can regrow their claws in the same way.
Interesting.
I've actually never seen this before. What I'm thinking of like a deformed root vegetable. Like
yeah,
a
what is the
carrot.
deformed? You said deformed. How?
Like curled.
Yeah,
and-
it's just like curled and not
Is
the
it-
right size. And
But
So
is
even
it-
uglier.
sloths are not ugly. Sloths are beautiful.
Yeah, Jesus.
I think
Gina.
you're
Has-
lying.
We love sloths on this channel. Gina?
Well, not Gina and I, but
Oh, I'm a big sloth fan. You guys
so wait a
can hang
minute.
out with
Are they
Buffon.
still dangerous? Are the claws still dangerous if they're deformed?
Unclear.
Well, it sounds like they're not that sharp.
They're not that sharp, but like I said, they're going to be used to grab you, pull you in, and then
Chomp on you.
and then they'll chomp on you, and that's how they can bite,
Wow.
and they can cause some nasty damage, right? So they do have superpowers, they do have defenses, and the next thing that I want to talk about is sloth behavior and sloth mating.
Well, this is what we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, this is the exciting part, right?
Yeah, this is I know Gina, this is what you've been really looking forward to.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's start with penis size.
you know what? You guys talk about penises a lot on
No,
this show.
Daniel, come on. You had a choreographed kind of story here. Let's please continue.
Okay. So, in general, sloths are solitary animals, and they only really interact during breeding season. The way that mating happens is the females actually will talk first, kind of like Bumble.
Bumble, an interesting app.
Sloths would be fans. So, what the females will do is they will emit these high-pitched vocalizations to find a mate.
So the girls start the mating.
Yeah, the
you're
girls
saying.
talk first.
The
By
girls are in
screaming.
charge.
They just start screaming into the air.
Pretty much. Yeah, the girls just start screaming into the air.
Not a tactic that we use.
Two-toads, they are more into releasing pheromones, but the vocalizations, that's a three-toed sloth thing to do. And then when they send out the call, the males come a-rushing
Of course they do.
They come a-rushing.
at like 15 feet a minute
Oh my God.
from all over.
15 feet a minute. That's when they hit
So
their max
fast.
speed.
That's
Yeah.
when they hit their max speed, when they're trying
oh
to
my
find a
God.
woman.
They hear the
Oh, yeah.
squeal of a beetle-infested thing hanging from a tree.
It's like
Locked
cockroaches.
upside down like a bat.
But yeah, so the males, they come a-rushing, and when they get there, that's when they start fighting. The sloth males, they will fight each other, and the way that they fight, I think I already said it, but the way that they fight, they will try to knock each other off the trees.
Yikes.
And so if you can just imagine this giant, big battle royale where each sloth is slowly trying to knock the other sloth off a tree until one of them falls 100 feet, not to its death.
How amazing would that be to watch?
You know what? I have this vision of like one female sloth in like a pink dress at the top
A
of this
pink
tree
dress.
and like a pile of like 50 dead sloths just waiting at the bottom.
She's
that is
like,
long,
oh yeah, look
died
at what
in
I
battle.
did. Oh yeah, look at what I did to all these dudes down there.
It's a pile of sloths.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that, except the sloths, they survive the big falls. And, you know, eventually when all the other sloths are on the ground, the winner, he gets to stay up there and he gets to sleep with the lucky lady. Now, here is where there starts to become a little bit of significant differences in between the 2- and 3-toed sloths, right? Because the 3-toed sloths, they're pretty faithful creatures. When they find their male after he knocked over, all the other males, they'll stick to him.
She's like, I'm not letting go of this one.
Yeah.
This guy got 3 fingers. I mean, I'm
Right.
not-
He made it all the way up top.
Exactly. They're impressed. The 2-toed girls, they're a little more promiscuous. For them, the males will actually stick with the females for several days, and they'll mate for continuously. And actually, they're pretty acrobatic in the bedroom.
Makes sense, I
Or-
guess.
Yeah, or on the tree branch, I should say, more accurately.
I wonder if the beetles get to mate too.
Oh, what about the cockroaches?
Yeah, they're like, oh, check out the honey with these cockroaches.
I don't think they need to wait. They could do it anytime.
yeah.
Tag along for the ride, get to meet a whole new breed of. It seems like the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, but the 2-toed sloths, they do it from every position. And I mean, they do it front to back, face to face, hanging from the branches,
69.
hanging upside down. It didn't say 69, but I'm sure 69 would be part of it.
Please tell me you watched videos of this.
I did.
Of course you did.
I watched some sloth sex for research. And so they were pretty impressive. Now, the acrobatics were pretty good.
How's the foreplay?
Not great. So for the foreplay and just in stamina in general, they can last for as little as 5 seconds at a time, including the foreplay.
Not bad, my man. Not bad.
Yikes.
And
Good performance out there.
and after the sex, the guys will get pretty tired and they'll fall asleep.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean,
Like, how perfect is that? Sloths.
So they definitely are males.
yeah.
And like I said, the females, a little bit more promiscuous. So when their man's asleep,
They'll go again.
Don't say it.
they're going to find another
Oh.
man.
You
I
bitch.
mean, after 5 seconds and they fall asleep, you'd want to
You
find another
bitch.
man too.
He tried his best. What do you want out of the
Gina, have you ever found another man after he lasted only 5 seconds?
I don't know. Pass.
Seems like you do know someone who.
I take the 5th. I plead the 5th.
So you're more of a 2-toed kind of girl.
No, I plead the 5th. Right now,
Can't believe it. This guy throws countless other sloths off a tree. He
To just
moves
last 5
15
seconds.
feet. Well, I mean, I guess. I mean, I'm not being considerate of the female experience here, but it seems like he put a lot of effort in just to get cheated on 5 seconds later.
Well, maybe he should have put less effort into playing with other dudes and more effort into satisfying his woman.
100%, Dan.
I don't know.
100%.
I just don't think young men get enough credit in this society.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Well,
You mean young white men? They don't get enough credit? I don't know.
but yeah, so the girls, when their man's asleep, they'll sleep with another man. They'll find another guy. And really, from what I read, they'll sleep with just about any sloth that comes their way.
So it seems like the real strategy is avoid the fight, lay low, and just wait for your time.
I mean, maybe. You might have something.
That's called a fuck boy, I believe.
That's called a situationship.
It's almost like the sloths that are slow to get there get the real prize.
Right. Slow and steady wins the race.
There we go.
Take a hint, dudes.
There we go. Exactly. And, when we're talking about boys and girls, for the 3-toed sloths, it's pretty easy to tell the males and females apart because the boys have a giant orange and black stripe, kind of shows their manliness. But the 2-toed sloths, a little bit different. It's really, really hard to tell them apart. Like, you need to give them a full examination. And this has actually led to a lot of mistakes at zoos where they will put the wrong sets together. They'll put a guy and a girl when they think they're putting in 2 girls, and then they end up with a baby.
Not a bad thing.
Lucky guy.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm inferring is that their private parts, they look almost the exact same. So I'm going to show you a private part, actually, right now.
Damn time.
I'm going to show you a private part right now of a sloth, and I need you two to guess if it's a boy or a girl.
Okay. The moment we've been waiting for, right, Nikki?
This is it. I mean,
Yeah, this is,
Right now, I have a picture of sloth private parts, and we are going to figure out if this is a boy or a girl. There we go.
my initial gut says girl because it looks more like a hole, but I'm pretty sure it's probably a boy at this point.
Nikki, what do you think?
No, that's Is this a trick question? Is this actually a sloth?
This is sloth private parts.
Okay.
I love private parts.
This is sloth genitalia.
Yeah. I mean, I say private parts too.
I think that's a male.
You are right. That is a male, but the female looks almost the exact same.
Really?
Interesting. How would you guys feel about that? Females and males looking the same.
You know what? When
in
I
genitalia.
remember, I think everyone found, this is a weird story, but everyone that I knew of knew what a vagina looked like before our adult learning class in elementary school, except for me.
Oh.
So I spent the first, I don't even know how many years of my life thinking that girls also had, I thought a vagina looked just like a dangling little thing off. And I always wondered, because everyone always used to say, oh yeah, you put the penis in the vagina. And I was like, how is that going to work? This isn't, and it gave me a lot of stress. I was just thinking.
Cause do a lot of stress, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you might be part sloth.
Yeah.
I think we've distinguished that Nicky either wants to be or is part sloth.
Yeah, so
I mean, I want to be part koala, to be honest.
yeah, I can't wait to hear about the koalas. But yeah, so sloths, they're amazing. The last thing that I just want to say about the sloths really quickly is in terms of threats and conservation status, obviously their big predators are the big cats, harpy eagles, and snakes, so the big animals. But their biggest threat is actually from humans. I know we talked about poachers not really wanting sloth fur that much, but even with that being said, a lot of urban development is killing a lot of sloths. They will get electrocuted on power lines. They will get hit by cars. The three-toed pygmy sloth is actually critically endangered, so we do need to do something to save the pygmy sloth because they are so cute.
Save the forests.
Save the forest.
Sloth.
Save the sloths. And according to Dr. Becky Cliff, the reason why they're considered least concern might be just because we have lack of data on them. And if we had more data, they might actually be rated higher on the conservation list status. So do everything we can. If you want to, you can donate to the Sloth Conservation Fund. You can look at some of Dr. Becky Cliff's videos. She talks about sloths working. It's hilarious.
This lady loves sloths. I can't.
She really does.
I mean, to make a career out of it, I mean.
She is the sloth queen.
Wow. She's an interesting person, I bet.
Yeah, so go sloths.
Go sloth.
So, Gina, what do you think about sloths now that you know a little bit more about them? Are you intimidated? Do you think that they'll be able to beat koala bear?
So, in the beginning of this, I was pretty doubtful of the koalas winning in a fight. But, I feel like after all this information you gave us about sloths, I am pretty confident in the koala.
Really?
What about you, Nicky?
Yeah, I'm 99% sure.
I
would be
so.
willing to put money.
I mean,
And
I'm
not a
excited to hear
gambling
the
man.
debate, obviously. But I don't know. I think we got this.
Are you guys enamored with sloths as much as I am?
I mean, yeah. But the thing that I can't get over is, the cockroaches in the fur. Like, clean
I was gonna
up
say the
after
same thing.
yourself. Like, can you not?
No, it's part of the natural defense.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into koalas.
Yeah.
Can we? I'm excited. Like,
I want to know.
all right. Well, we're here to inform you about koalas. So koalas are actually pretty amazing. We're going to start out with some interesting facts just to amaze and wow you. And then we're going to head into history and size and appearance and whatnot.
Oh, I'm excited.
I've always thought, probably like everyone else, koalas are super cute.
Yes, everyone loves koalas.
Popular animals.
Yeah, they're super cuddly. It looks like.
Big
super
in
cuddly.
pop culture.
Yeah, huge in pop culture.
They hold like a very significant. They're a symbol.
They're a symbol. They're an icon of Australia. They're Australia's icon.
Yeah, I used to eat the little chocolate koalas.
Oh, those are so good.
Yeah, what are they called?
I don't remember, but I remember eating them.
I love koalas.
Yeah, I love them too. I didn't realize how much I love them. And actually, if I were to be an animal, it might honestly be a koala.
Really? You love them that much?
I mean, yeah, they sleep 18 to 22 hours a day. So I kind of identify with that.
18 to 24 hours a day?
No, 18 to
22.
22.
That's more than a sloth.
Yeah.
90%, they said, on
I mean,
average.
Yeah. Okay. So the koala is the iconic animal of Australia. 75% of all tourists from Europe and Japan go to Australia specifically to see the koala bear.
I did not realize it was that high.
Experts say it's because their small body and their teddy bear-like face, which I mean, like, how cute is their face?
Super cute.
And their like little eyes, when they close their eyes, it kind of almost looks like they're a little bit high, which is cute. We have a picture of that right here that we're looking at, and they're super cute. I mean, it's funny because people call them koala bears, but they're actually not bears at all. They are marsupials. For those of you that don't know what a marsupial is, they carry their young in their pouch. So like kangaroos are marsupials.
Yeah, marsupials are mammals that give birth to undeveloped young.
Another interesting fact, they're the only mammal apart from humans that have fingerprints in chimpanzees.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's because of the grip. They climb trees obviously so high. They need to have good grip.
Yeah.
So another fun fact is you guys tend to talk about penis size and penises a lot on this podcast, and I respect
As men
it.
do.
I respect it, but let's talk about vaginas some more. Let's give us ladies some credit. And let me tell you, koalas have 3 vaginas.
Three vaginas?
3 vaginas, 2 penises. They are an interesting.
Wait, so one koala will have both 3 vaginas
No,
and 2
no.
penises?
No. Sorry, the females have 3 vaginas, and the males have 2 penises.
Why do they have 3 penises? Why do they have 2 vaginas and 3 penises? And that's awesome.
No. It's the opposite.
Wait, so they have 2 vaginas and 3 penises?
3 vaginas.
They have 3 vaginas and 2 penises.
Females have 3 vaginas. You're dumbfounded.
I am dumbfounded right now. If you're a koala bear with 3 penises,
No. 2 penises.
I am dumbfounded right now. If you're a koala bear with 2 penises, how do you choose which vaginas to go into?
That's we can get into that later, but that's there's a special way for that. So we will
We
definitely
don't want to spoil the fun.
Yeah,
too
we'll
early.
definitely get into
We don't
that.
want to have the main course before we.
Yeah,
start.
don't worry. That is something for
Oh my
later.
God, I want to know more.
Yeah, you will. Don't worry. Okay, so in general, koalas are pretty solitary. The males and female koalas only meet to mate. And the only time koalas leave their tree is to find another tree with more leaves to eat or to mate. So I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, if I could stay at my house all the time unless I had to eat and mate, I would call myself a bachelor.
Right? That's basically the definition. Yeah.
So koalas began to evolve almost 45 million years ago, right around the time that Australia detached from Antarctica and began to move north. They're the only non-extinct member of the family Phascolarctic today. I believe the closest living relatives of the koala is actually the wombat.
I've seen a wombat in real life at the zoo.
I mean, we have a picture of one here, and
Very.
yeah, they're cute. I've never actually looked at what a wombat was, so I was surprised when I saw a picture of them.
Yeah, apparently they have really hard rumps. But anyways,
So they're hard asses.
they're hard asses, yeah.
Love it.
So there's 3 recognized subspecies of the koala. The first is the Victorian koala. It's the largest. It's shaggier. It has brown fur and a wider skull. The other 2 are the New South Wales koala and the Victorian koala. And these forms are distinguished by pelage color and thickness, body size, and skull shape.
Yeah, so koalas, they have a body length of 24 to 33 inches, and they weigh around 9 to 33 pounds. And the males can be up to 50% bigger than the females.
So we're basically saying that koalas are probably just a little bit bigger than sloths, right?
Just slightly.
Okay.
So the koala fur actually has this incredible insulating capacity, and the back fur is actually the most insulating of any marsupial, and it protects them from the wind and the rain, and the fur on the belly can actually protect them from solar radiation. So the fur itself is just incredibly shielding.
Wow, it's like they are wearing like a Patagonia jacket or
Exactly.
Built-in sunscreen.
built-in sunscreen.
Built-in sunscreen, built-in down.
That's pretty amazing. I'm surprised people don't wear koala vests.
I don't know, you would think, right? No, I think that would be highly illegal to shave koalas.
Good, because fuck poachers.
Fuck poachers.
Yeah, so they're on top of the chest fur that helps them block the solar radiation. They actually have scent glands, and they rub these glands against the trees to kind of mark their territory.
That is the male, at least.
I rub my chest on trees when I'm marking my territory too.
Did the girls come find you?
Not yet.
Typically, it's the police.
So koalas are found, obviously, in Australia and in eucalyptus woodlands, so like forests with a bunch of eucalyptus trees.
And the reason for that is that they only eat eucalyptus leaves. It's their only form of nutrition, which means they actually have access to like a relatively untapped food source because eucalyptus leaves are poisonous to all other animals. And that's because of the high tannin content that eucalyptus leaves have. The koalas actually have a really unique way of digesting their food, similar to the sloth. They actually digest the leaves via fermentation. They have to stay in the stomach long enough for it to ferment. And eucalyptus leaves are actually super low in caloric content, which kind of brings us to this secondary element of the diet, and that's the metabolism. Koalas have incredibly low metabolisms, and they need to have low metabolisms because if it's too high, the food will pass through the stomach too quickly. So the low metabolism and the low caloric content kind of go hand in hand, right? With less nutrition, you have lower metabolism, and that's why koalas sleep like 90% of the day is because they don't have any nutrients and they don't have any metabolism, so they spend all their time sleeping.
Wow, it's almost like koala bears are the sloths of Australia.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, everything you were reading, I was like, wow, that is pretty similar to a koala.
That's incredible. Koala bears can eat poison. That's really incredible. I don't think that sloths can do that, but sloths do have a lot of high tannin content in their food, and that's why their teeth are black. So,
And you know what? I should actually correct myself. I said that no other animals can do it. The diet is actually shared by possums and gliders.
so almost no other animals.
Almost
can,
no other
yeah,
animal.
almost no other
Exactly.
animals can do it.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Koalas eat up to 400 grams a day of eucalyptus leaves, and this is equivalent to 1 pound of food a day. So, Dan, do you think you could eat 1 pound of food a day?
I think you could eat 1 pound of food
Yeah,
in like
I could eat 1 pound
one
of food
sitting.
in a meal.
Like,
Yeah,
1 pound of spaghetti, you could eat that.
I do all the time.
Oh, you know what? Actually, 1 pound of spaghetti is an entire box of spaghetti.
Yeah, that's an entire box.
I do that.
in one sitting.
Yeah.
Daniel, not even I, the pasta king of Cleveland, could do that.
So we just talked about this the other day, and when I had a food eating contest, I ate 3 pounds of food.
Oh, right. You did say that.
So I could definitely eat a pound of food. In fact, I do eat a pound of food all the time. A lot of times I'll eat only 1 meal a day. So I could eat like a koala bear for
Not
sure.
unlike a koala.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they're definitely not eating only 3 leaves a day. Koalas eat a pound of leaves.
So koalas typically eat and sleep in the same tree basically all day. They really don't move. They're predominantly active at night, and they spend most of their time, the 10% of the day that they're awake, they spend eating.
So koalas are actually important to the Australian environment and the ecosystem because their scat deposits, or poo, feed the forest floor that help the woodlands grow and regenerates the ground and biodiversity and whatnot. And their droppings are known to be a source of food for small mammals.
So animals will literally eat koala shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
But
it's a
you know what?
delicacy.
It doesn't smell bad because it smells like eucalyptus because that's
Exactly.
literally all they eat. And it's green like eucalyptus and it's the shape of an olive. So it's like cute kind of poop that smells good.
And the koalas actually produce these little pellets 24 hours a day, even when they're sleeping. They produce like up to 360 pellets a day.
Wait, so they poop when they sleep?
Yeah, they're definitely pooping when they sleep.
Wow.
I mean, they are asleep like 22 hours of the day. So
Yeah, so they have to be
they
pooping.
they have to be.
Gina, do you ever poop when you sleep?
Oh, I've never pooped my bed.
Nikki has.
Not shocked.
It wasn't my finest moment. But what would you say if I told you this happened recently?
I would say I'm still not shocked.
So koalas are known to actually regurgitate their food. So they'll eat it, it'll partially digest, and then they'll spit it back up and chew it again, and then digest it again. And it's like similar to how cows will chew cud,
Ew.
throw it up in
I
their
had
mouths.
no idea. And why do they do that, Gina?
I mean, I feel like they do that because
it has to help with the digestion
Yeah, it must be.
process. Unless they just want that flavor a second time, baby.
The eucalyptus leaves are so hard to digest that they must have to just chew them twice.
I mean, I've had Chipotle that was so good that I considered doing the same thing.
Haven't we all?
So we're going to talk about the predators.
Ooh, do koala bears have a lot of predators?
Actually, no, they don't. They actually only have a few natural predators. Dingoes and pythons are the two most common. Birds of prey, like eagles and owls, will also do it, but rarely on adults. They kind of go for the baby koalas, which are also known as joeys. Right now, though, dogs, domesticated dogs, are the biggest predator of koalas because these Australians cannot get a hold on their dogs. It's out of control. And you can just read stories. I should say, though, also the primary cause of death is starvation because they eventually lose their ability to chew. So the real predator is gingivitis.
I mean, as they get older, their teeth just wear down and break away.
So what you're saying is that these koala bears live an entire life trying to run away from dogs and dingoes and eagles and everything.
Only to die by gingivitis.
Is it really gingivitis that they're getting?
Well, I mean, who knows?
No, their
Who
teeth
knows
just
for sure?
wear down and they just can't chew anymore.
We got to get some koala dentists in the house.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I think starvation would be an absolutely awful way to go.
You know, actually, I think that was the most common death for early Homo sapiens, like 80 to 100,000 years ago. Seriously, that was it. You just your teeth fell out, and it was like, all right, well, there's not that many things. There's not that many stews going on. You can't just drink broth all day.
Would you rather starve to death on a full stomach like a sloth?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Or would you rather starve to death because of you just lost your teeth like a koala bear?
I mean, I feel like dignity-wise, better to
die without teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Than die on a full stomach.
That's no way to go.
Okay, so we're going to go into claws. Koala claws.
Do they have claws?
Do koalas have claws? Yes.
They do, and they're primarily used for climbing.
Are they sharp?
Yeah, they have to be sharp. They have really strong arms and powerful legs, suitable for climbing those trees that they climb. And they're super bad at walking on the ground. These are
literally the same fucking animal.
Yeah,
they're
very, very similar, which means I think it's going to be a decent matchup.
So humans have 4 digits and 1 opposable digit, right? 1 thumb. Koalas, on their hands, have 3 regular digits and 2 opposable digits. So they have 2 thumbs and 3 regular fingers on each hand. It's super goofy. It looks like alien. And then on the hind paws, so on the feet, the 2nd and 3rd digit are fused into 1 digit that's used for grooming.
Okay, it's worth noting that when a disturbed koala wants to get away, they can break into a gallop of 19 miles per hour. So a sloth is not going to catch up to a koala.
That's really fast.
Yeah, a sloth has nothing on a koala with that.
19 miles per hour, that's like a full-on sprint.
Yeah, that's fast.
Yeah.
How long can they do that for?
Not long. It doesn't seem like they would ever do that for long.
But they will do it. That's actually really incredible.
They must have to be really agitated for that.
I want to see a video of a koala gallop. Are they on all fours?
And I want to see a video of a sloth falling from a tree.
Yes, they are on all fours.
Can you imagine if they're running on 2 feet?
Legs. All right, well, so let's talk about bite, Nikki. Let's get into that.
Yes, we know that on the Animal Fight Club podcast, we love to talk about bite force quotients. It's a big thing. And marsupials actually have some of the highest bite force quotients in the world. We weren't able to find a specific, PSI number to go off of, but it did say some of the highest in the world. So
they have really high bite forces.
Yes, more than a dingo.
And do they have sharp teeth?
Yes, koalas do have sharp teeth. They're sharp enough to snip through leaves. However, they're not sharp enough to bite through meat or prey of any kind.
So if I was going to get bit by a koala, would it break the skin?
Yes.
Yes, but it wouldn't go through the muscle.
Well, we have a story about a woman that got bit and needed 12 stitches.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, well, we can get into that. So while koalas have a very strong bite, they do not have a very strong brain.
And that is because, as is true in many animals, brain size is directly correlated to nutrition. So if you do not have enough food, the brain will not grow to its full capacity. And because the koala has such a low nutritional diet, they believe that the small brain size is actually an adaptation to the energy restrictions that are imposed by the diet.
That's probably why sloths have tiny brains too.
You know what I think is really interesting about koalas?
What?
They only spend 15 minutes a day on their social behavior.
So what are some of their social behaviors?
So koalas are actually extremely non-social creatures. They don't want to be around each other unless it's for mating, and most of the social exchanges are aggressive ones.
All right, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about their mating behaviors, which is what everybody wants to know.
Oh, yeah. Do they have good mating behaviors?
I think it's pretty interesting.
During the mating season, the male koalas make these loud, bellowing mating calls, and they're each unique. So, like, they advertise the male's size and fitness to the female koalas, and the lower the call, the lower, like, the decibel of the call, the better, because it can travel farther, which means that the male is stronger. So the female koalas love the lower calls.
So the lady koalas love the low, deep voice.
Exactly. It's said that females plan their travels around the deepest voice in the land. So whoever's got the deepest voice, they will go to that guy.
So if you're like Barry White and a koala, like,
it's game over. It's game over.
And listen, koalas don't like to go far. So for them to go far for a mate, that's pretty great.
they must really like those low voices.
Yeah, but there's something else. It's not the largest, most dominant male that gets to mate with the female. Instead, the female uses the male's mating call to identify her previous suitors. So if she slept with that guy before, she doesn't want to do it again.
Really?
Yeah, and I think it's totally understandable. And it seems like, I'm not an evolutionary biologist, but it seems like you're spreading the genome in a good way. You're getting some good diversity in terms of genetics. So
what you're telling me is that koala ladies are kind of hit it and quit it. Once they get the milk, they don't want the cow.
And koala ladies are always in charge, because if she doesn't like the guy that comes up to her, she's going to be aggressive. She's like, no, I don't want you. I want a different one.
These koalas are like really Miss-Independent. Do you feel like you bring out your inner koala every time you're on a dating app, Gina?
Fuck dating apps. I just, I like it that she can become vicious if she doesn't like this dude. She brings out claws. She brings out teeth. She's not having it. I watched a video of a female that did not want this man that came to her, and it was pretty interesting. She got violent, which is uncommon.
And first of all, did you say that the females are bigger or smaller than the
No,
males?
males are 50% bigger.
But the females don't care. The females will still.
No, they don't care about size. They care about sound in low voice.
Wow. And when you see them fighting, what's that like?
It was not pretty. The males were just trying to get at it desperately, and the females were screaming, showing teeth. It was not a good sound. I wouldn't recommend.
I feel like I've had some females give me that same face when I'm at the bar.
I'm sure. That wouldn't be me, though.
You would give me the good.
I'd give you a smile and a wink.
she'd give you all three vaginas.
Which reminds me, we need to go back and talk about these private parts of koalas.
Yes, let's talk about koala private parts.
I mean, this is interesting. I'll let Nikki talk about...
No. This is all Gina's been talking about all week.
Yeah, Gina, I know that you've been wanting to tell me all about the koala vaginas. That's the one fact I knew coming into this. So
Yeah, I mean, I've been excited to talk about this koala vaginas because, I mean, usually you guys just talk about penises. So 3 vaginas coming to the table. Wow. I mean, I'm impressed.
So can they have 3 orgasms at the same time?
So it's not like that.
wait, Gina, since koalas have 3 vaginas, do they have 3 G-spots too?
I just don't think that's how it works, guys. I mean...
How does it work for the koalas? I didn't think that 3 vaginas was how it worked either.
Right. So they have 3 vaginas. So the outer 2 are for the uteruses. They have 2 outside vaginas, which include the 2 uteri. And then the middle vagina, which is the 3rd vagina, is where the baby comes out, the baby Joey.
I don't think that makes sense to me. I'm not saying I'm an expert at female anatomy,
No,
but
Dana, it's simple math. I mean, you got 3 holes. 2 holes are for the
Insemination.
bifurcated penis, the insemination, and the third one is where the baby pops at.
Okay, so they have 3 vaginas, but only 2 of the vaginas are for penises.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, interesting. So only 2 of the vaginas are for sex,
Correct.
and the third vagina is to give birth.
Yes.
Wow.
Interesting, right?
I'm surprised they don't have like other names. Like they're not called like other organs.
Yeah, it was weird when we read vagina 1, vagina 2, and vagina 3. It seemed not classy.
I mean, I was excited. I couldn't believe it.
Now, question. Because I know that koala males have 2 penises, right?
Well, technically it's 1 penis, but it's bifurcated. So it looks like 2, but it's kind of 1. That just has 2 ends.
Are we talking like a snake's tongue?
Yes.
That's a good.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I like
Imagine breaking that bad boy out.
So when the koala male is having sex with the koala female,
Both penises get the action.
is that how it works?
Yeah.
Both at the same time?
Exactly. Both at the same time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and when the male's penis is flaccid, it's withdrawn and safely tucked away inside its cloaca.
It's interesting. The penis is located behind the scrotum, but they actually have a non-pendulous scrotum, which means that the scrotum doesn't dangle off the body. It's tucked away, safe, secured.
Wow. Good for the koalas.
All right, I think it's time to talk about birth control. The female can actually practice birth control by putting the babies growing in her uterus on hold. So if it's like a drought period or she's not eating enough, she can actually just like chill out on pup rearing and control that shit.
And that's called embryonic diapause.
Cool.
And then when the conditions improve, she can fertilize as much as she wants.
I wonder how many women wish that they could have birth control like a koala.
I mean, they can just pick and choose when they're about to be fertile. I think that's pretty much a dream.
Wow. So koalas are really kind of like the masters of...
Efficiency. So, Dan, do you want to know what diseases koalas get?
Do they get a lot of diseases?
I mean,
Well, they definitely get chlamydia.
I heard it's rough. I know it hurts when you're peeing, and it's really painful for koalas, so that's sad. But like half of them have it.
Is the most common disease affecting koalas.
So basically half of koalas are infected with chlamydia.
Wait, how many koalas have chlamydia?
Half of them.
Oh my God.
And you know what the funny thing is, Dan?
What?
It can be transmitted to humans.
Wait, are humans having sex with koalas?
I mean, I would certainly hope not, but the way they can get it is if a koala pees on a human. And I'm assuming if that's only if the human has like an open hole, like a cut or something, right?
Are there a lot of koalas peeing on humans?
I don't think so.
That's not how you get chlamydia. There is an episode of Seinfeld about this where you know the one where the girl gets chlamydia from the tractor.
No, I don't know this.
Oh my God, who am I talking to? No, you definitely cannot get chlamydia from getting peed. If you have a cut and you get peed on, that's not how you get chlamydia.
How do you get chlamydia?
It's a sexually transmitted disease.
Well, how are humans getting it from koala bears?
It's a
I
Are
don't know.
they,
Nicky
or
didn't
you
do
can?
any research, so he wouldn't know.
all I know is that that's not how you get chlamydia.
In koala land, koalas can give chlamydia to people
That is crazy.
by peeing on them.
Have there been any documented cases of that?
I mean, I don't think so. I just, read this interesting fact and was like, wow, that is crazy.
I think you can get it if you like pee in your eye or something.
Well,
like
that's what I
that.
said, like an orifice or a hole or a cut.
I want to be there for that Australian conversation where that girl has to tell her boyfriend, sorry, babe, I have chlamydia. I know what you think. It's not from another guy. It's from a koala bear.
I got peed on by a koala bear.
How do you... Gina,
That's you know what? I wonder if the guy sicks his dogs on the koala in an act of revenge. Hence,
Nicky, I have a question. If your wife came up to you one day and she said that she got chlamydia, but she swore it was from a koala bear, what would you say?
well, Dana, I don't know about you, but I believe women.
Okay. Wow. So koalas get chlamydia. Do they get any other STDs too?
Yes, they do. They actually have their own version of AIDS.
Wait, there is such thing as koala AIDS?
Cades. Actually, it's kids, but yeah. I don't know. It should have been Cades because kids just sounds wrong. I mean,
Right.
that's sick. But yeah, no, they do. It's called koala immune deficiency syndrome. And it's caused by the koala retrovirus. It's literally like AIDS for koalas.
That's insane. Can they play basketball too?
That was good. So let's talk about the things that are affecting the koala's livelihood.
Are chlamydia and koala AIDS two of those things?
Actually, yes. Well, chlamydia more so, because chlamydia causes infertility if left untreated. And because there's no real way to treat koalas at that scale, it's really causing a decline in the reproduction numbers that we're seeing.
Wow.
Also, climate change.
Chlamydia and climate change.
Also, it's
Also climate change.
bringing it back to something wholesome, but I guess not. But, the increasing of the heat is really fucking with these koalas. Climate change, man. Higher temperatures cause the eucalyptus trees to produce fewer leaves, which is no good for the koalas.
And yeah, there's even more banal things like I think car crashes. Like almost 300 koalas are killed each year by motor vehicles. It's just really sad, because all the trees, through deforestation, it causes them to have to move and leaves them exposed to the roads, and cars will run over them.
Oof, 2020 was a bad year for humans, but it also a super bad year for koalas, because in South Wales they had a bushfire. 8,400 koalas died. 30% of the koala population.
30% died in one bushfire?
Yeah.
That's so sad. That's
in this
insane.
area, yeah.
And then there was another one on Kangaroo Island where there was a bushfire where I think there was an existing population of 50,000 koalas, and 30,000 of the koalas died in the fire.
Wow, so koalas really don't do good with bushfires.
Mm-mm.
No, it's tough. I mean, they're very at risk.
I mean, we've all seen those videos of the poor koalas that are burned climbing out of the forest. So sad.
Wow. Feel like I just learned so much about koalas. They are some pretty cool creatures. And I'm really surprised about how much chlamydia they have.
I mean,
Well, like you said, they're cool creatures.
they get around.
They get around. They obviously do. Wow. Are you guys ready to start talking about who would win in a fight? You guys ready for the battle portion of Animal Fight Club?
Yeah, okay, so Dan, set the stage for us.
All right. So I'm trying to think, right? Because if we're going to talk about location, I would imagine that it seems pretty obvious that the koala would meet up with a sloth inside of a forest, right?
A forest, for sure.
And on a tree specifically.
And on a tree.
And on a tree.
And on a tree. So maybe...
And likely sleeping. Both of them.
So, okay. So we're imagining some magical forest that has both sloths and koala bears. And there's a tree, right? A giant... Do koala bears climb high up trees?
Oh, yeah, they can climb high.
Okay. And they're comfortable high?
Oh, yeah.
And so they're climbing, and they're on both ends of the branch, and they see each other. Who do you think would attack first?
Oh, I'm very confident that the koala would attack first.
Why are you so confident?
The more territorial creatures, it seems, based on the descriptions. And I think they move faster. So, I mean, even if they left at the same time, the koala is going to be moving towards the sloth faster.
And I've seen these videos when the female koalas are just not impressed with the male ones, and they just are get away, and they can be ferocious. They are squawking and not a good sound. They're biting. They're screaming, biting.
So you guys actually think that the koala would make the first move to try and attack?
Yeah, I do. What about you, Nikki?
Yes, I concur.
So I'll give it to you guys. So the koala starts, we're going to imagine that they're both awake at this point because most of the time they would be sleeping. But we're gonna give it to the koala to start running to the sloth at a top speed of very, very slow, at a snail's pace.
Snail's pace.
And, even though the koala is going so slow, it still might be considered a sneak attack on the sloth because you got to remember, the sloths won't be able to hear it and they won't be able to see it coming.
Forgot about that. That is amazing. Koala.
Is there any attack that's not a sneak attack on the sloth?
Not really. Well, maybe the sloths can smell it coming.
Oh, smell, yeah.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to do much. right?
I mean,
Yeah, they're not going to be able to do much. So interesting. So this is going to be the slowest sneak attack of all time. The koala is going to come up to the sloth. And what do you think would happen when they actually meet up?
I think they're going to throw a scratch in there.
So you think that the koala is going to use its claws to scratch the sloth?
I do. What do you think, Nikki?
Yeah, I concur. These guys, they're all talk in the beginning.
Intimidation.
Like, it's all intimidation.
Well, I don't think like I said, I don't think the sloths are going to be intimidated. Not because they shouldn't be, just because I don't think that the sloths are smart enough to be intimidated.
Are the koalas?
Well, koalas have
I
small
wonder
brains too.
I wonder in relation their brain sizes, whose is bigger.
Because sloths, they have small brains too. So they're both kind of small brained.
Dumb.
And so we see immediately that probably the koala bear is going to start scratching the sloth.
What happens when the koala scratches the sloth only for a cockroach to jump on him and scare him off the tree, and so he falls off the tree? And then seemingly the sloth just happens to slip and also falls. I mean, it seems like they're both going to lose this fight in my mind. I mean, I'm seeing this going.
So here's how I'm seeing it, right? So I'm imagining the sloth is going to be hurt first with the scratch. However, sloths are used to scratches because they will be attacked by jaguars and cats and eagles, and they can survive that sometimes. So I know you said that koala bears have sharp claws, but I don't think that they are going to have sharper claws than like a jaguar. Right?
Right. And if the koala does hit the sloth and it falls, it's not going to die.
Yeah. And not only that, I don't think that the koala is going to be able to knock the sloth out from the tree.
Yeah, I don't think a koala has it in it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, remember, sloths, their strength, their grip strength, super, super strong. 3 times stronger than a human, right?
But they don't have fingerprints like a human.
They don't need them. They have claws, and the sloth claws, they're not that sharp, but they can use their tendons and grasp onto the trees and basically never fall. Remember, these things stay locked on even when they're dead.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that changes the game.
So I'm thinking what's really going to happen is the sloth is just going to kind of stay there, and it's going to get kind of mad. And really, I think this is where the sloth, in my opinion, is going to win, because I think what's going to happen is the sloth is going to be able to do 2 things. One, it's going to be able to use its claws, 2 of them. 2 of them it's going to be holding onto the tree. The other 2, it's going to grab the koala, bring it near it with its super strong strength, and then it's going to be able to bite the koala. And remember, it does have those 4 canoid teeth, and those teeth are sharp. I mean, those are like predator-type teeth. I don't think that the koala is going to be able to survive that. But even if the koala survives that, let's just say for a second, the koala does survive that. Where the sloth really wins is that the sloth has tons and tons of practice knocking things off of trees, knocking other koalas off of trees. Do you think that the sloth is going to be able to knock a koala off of a tree?
You know what? I don't even think it needs to. I think it's just going to hang there until the koala's teeth fall out, and it'll outlast him. It's a war of attrition. I mean, why does this need to be, like a battle royale style fight? Why couldn't he play the long game and just lock his legs, hang in that tree, and just wait?
Man, I went in thinking wholeheartedly, oh, koala bear, it's going to win. But now you got me thinking.
Right? So I think that probably a sloth is going to be able to knock a koala off of a tree.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And when it does, can koalas survive big falls?
Probably not the same way that sloths
Yeah.
Honestly, I think even if the koala does go ahead and knock the sloth out the tree, sloth is still there and it's fine. It just will come right back up. So right now I'm leaning towards the sloth. However, I do want to put together a bull case for the koala. What do you think would be the best case scenario for the koala to win the match? Would it be maybe if they were like on the ground?
I was just going to say that. If somehow they're on the ground.
Well, the sloth does come to the ground once a week for pooping.
And the koala comes to the ground for new trees and to mate. So they might meet on the ground.
So if they're on the ground, okay. I think what you're saying is that the bull case for the koala is that they meet up on the ground. The sloth is twerking, doing its little poopy dance, right?
Right.
And the koala can come up to it, and here the koala is going to have the huge advantage because the koala can gallop at 30 miles an hour.
19.
Sorry, the koala can gallop at 19 miles an hour. The sloth, it's incapable of doing anything on the ground.
And it's deaf and blind, so.
And it's deaf and blind. So if the koala comes up that way, I have a feeling probably the koala could mount on top of the sloth and probably win.
Bite it.
And probably bite it. And the sloth,
No, but the koala's teeth aren't that strong.
I thought you said they were strong.
No, they can only bite through flesh, not muscle. So like not meat. Only like
The lady only needed 12 stitches. That's not a lot for an animal bite.
I think that still would be probably the best case scenario for the koala. It would be for the koala to meet up with the sloth on the ground. And if that's a scenario, I still think the koala would probably have the advantage.
I agree.
However, on the treetops, which is where they're going to be most often,
Sloths might win.
sloths
might win.
Wow.
Wow.
Did you guys see that coming? Well,
No, I went in this full-heartedly being like, oh man, no.
I know, same.
Right? Koala
Yeah.
all the way.
yeah, Gina, before we talk about it like it's the game over, we have the bull case for the koala bear. If it's on the ground, it could probably win. We have the bull case for the sloth, which is basically it could probably knock a koala off of a tree and or bite it, and it's just going to be able to have that much more power, even though the koala is going to come in with the sneak attack.
Yeah.
It sounds like we kind of know where this is headed. Do you want to vote on it?
Yes.
Let's go.
Nikki, who do you think would win based on all this? Who are you giving the edge to?
You know what? It's a battle of like the most inept. And I just I really my gut, like my heart of hearts, is telling me that the sloth will be the victor. I just can't see that koala mounting an attack strong enough to detree the sloth, which is really what it comes down to.
So are you voting for the sloth?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 1-0 to the sloth. Gina?
I don't want to vote for the sloth, but I think in a tree, sloth, and that's most likely where they're going to be, in the tree.
You do still give the advantage to the koala on the ground, though.
Oh yeah, on the ground, koala. In the tree, sloth.
I can't even give it to the koala on the ground. I mean,
Why?
it runs fast, but that doesn't mean anything. Like,
But I think it's got better eyesight than blind and deaf.
yeah, but once they're tangled up, it's a free for all. I mean,
I
listen,
think
I
it's
don't want to
more
go
vicious.
all Joe Rogan on this thing, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that's what it's all about.
So, Gina, are you voting for the sloth or
I'm sticking to my guns.
you're sticking with the koala?
Yeah.
So you say a koala,
I say a koala
and you say be koala, why?
because I love koalas. I want to be one.
So for no other reason than you
Bias.
just like koalas.
I mean, I learned all this information and shit, they're so cool.
All right. Well, it's 1-1, koala and sloth. I guess I'm going to be the tiebreaker. I do say that in the ground, I do think koalas might have a little bit of an edge, or at least a better edge than on the tree. But because they're most likely going to meet up on the tree, I'm going to have to give my vote to the sloth. So 2-1, a sloth wins a split decision against a koala. So are you guys surprised? Did you guys think that coming into this?
No, in fact, I'm actually a little upset about. I feel like I was betrayed by my own facts.
Honestly, I had no idea because I didn't really know much about sloths. But when you started telling your side, I was like, there's no way that can beat a koala. But then we got into it, and I just want a koala to win.
I'm going to give one more bull case for the koala bear. Maybe the koala bear pees on the sloth and gives the sloth chlamydia.
You know what? I don't even think that could kill the sloth. I mean, look at what's already growing on it.
Yeah, with the fungi, maybe the fungi can cure chlamydia.
Oh
Maybe
my
the
God.
roaches eat chlamydia. I mean, we don't know. There's so many possibilities with the complete and utter ecosystem growing on the sloth's fur. I mean, it's
Yeah, exactly. So even if we bring in biological warfare on the koala side, that's not even a given that would affect the sloth, because the sloth has all these 48 different layers of fungi associated with it. I am really surprised. So you guys, I'll be honest.
Hold on. Did we discuss how thick and protective the fur of the koala is? I want to know whether or not the sloth's bite could actually break through that fur, because it is dense. Like, you remember that story about a sheep. He hadn't gotten sheared and like.
But Nikki, that's the thing with the sloth. The way that we're describing it, it wouldn't even need to bite it. It would just hold on and knock it off of the tree and let gravity do the rest.
Oh yeah, okay, fair.
I want to know what each of you guys think is the most interesting fact about each animal.
So I'm torn, right? For koala bears, 2 penises, 3 vaginas, and they get koala AIDS.
Chlamydia.
Is it
Caves.
special? Is it special koala chlamydia?
It just said chlamydia.
Yeah, no, general chlamydia.
Human, maybe chlamydia.
I just want to find an instance of some human getting it from a koala and what they say to their partner.
Okay, so what's your most favorite interesting fact about each animal?
For me, I mean, obviously the cockroach civilization growing on every single sloth is amazing.
I was just flabbergasted when you said that.
Although I will say, pooping once a week is also pretty
That
interesting.
is interesting.
And never farting unless it's out of their mouth is also kind of interesting.
Good facts.
But for the koala, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I didn't even know that a marsupial. I mean, I knew I've heard the word. I know that a kangaroo is a marsupial, but I didn't know that they gave birth like after 30 days.
30
after a month, they
days.
just knock the thing out. It's like literally a jelly bean, and then it just grows outside the womb. That's pretty crazy.
And you know what? Males don't have the pouch, and females only get it when they're sexually mature. That's another interesting fact.
Interesting. So it's like tits.
I guess so.
Wow. So that was a great episode. I love sloths. I'm definitely surprised that they won doing all the research. I thought that they were going to be completely helpless, and I still think they're completely helpless, yet they somehow managed to beat the koala bear. So
They've been around for hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, they are an old species, right?
yeah, they are.
I mean, I just want to hear what some of the listeners think, though.
We will definitely have to get some listener feedback to figure out who the listeners think would win in a fight.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that's so incredible. Thank you so much, Nikki, Gina. Thank you both for coming on and being special guest hosts. Are you happy with your experience? What did you think about hosting?
I mean, I had a great time. I felt like I was in college again, just like hardcore researching something and loving it. So it was great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Nikki, what did you think?
Oh, I thought it was a ton of fun. 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend. To anyone who's not subscribing, I would say subscribe now.
Yes, that is a very good point. We love our fans, and the first rule of Animal Fight Club is follow and subscribe and share with everyone. So please subscribe wherever you're listening to us. We really appreciate it a lot. Before we go, Nikki, Gina, are there anything that you guys would want to promote, anything that you guys want to talk about while you're here?
Well, today is a very special day for me.
Yeah? Why is today so special, Gina?
January 25th, 11 years ago on this day, I happened to be diagnosed with a brain tumor. Shout out to me. Trying to write a book about my life. Glioblastoma is what I had, brain cancer. If you guys want to connect with me about that, I'm here for you.
Wow. That is so crazy that you were diagnosed 10 years ago today.
Right.
With
this day.
With glioblastoma.
Glioblastoma.
With glioblastoma. And Gina, just out of curiosity, what percentage chance did the doctors give you to be alive today?
Oh, it's like a 2% chance. Most people don't live past 8 to 11 months.
So they said that 98% chance you are gone.
I mean, I've been told I was going to die before, but never listen to that.
Wow. And this is 10 years later, and you are giving us amazing animal facts about how koalas have AIDS and chlamydia.
Right? I'm researching hardcore, spent like a week and a half just learning everything about koalas. # never forget.
Well, Gina, I hope you stay alive forever.
Thank you.
But if you're going to die, I hope it's through
chlamydia.
Chlamydia.
From a koala. Wouldn't mind it. You guys, I just want to thank you for being with me on this special day.
We wouldn't be anywhere else, Gina. I'm so happy to be with you today, especially on the 10-year anniversary. I feel like that's a really big anniversary. Can we give a big shout out to Fuck Cancer?
Fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer.
And you said that you're writing a book about it?
Well, I'm in the progress. It's tough, but I'm here and I'm writing.
So when the book comes out, we are gonna give it a big shout out Do you have any titles for the book? Any you're working
there's
through?
a bunch of working titles, but none of them stuck.
Gina blastoma.
I like that one. I might use that. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. I wonder if you didn't happen to be treated with any sloth fungi, did you?
No, but you know what? I've heard it can be used in breast cancer treatment, which is another amazing fact about sloths.
Yeah. So I mean, if nothing else, the fact that sloths can help out with breast cancer. I don't know about you, but I love breasts. So I appreciate all the sloths for helping to keep them healthy. So thank you, sloths, that you're doing God's work.
I just want to say that I've known these guys forever, and they're great guys. So listen up. Dan's got it going on with this podcast.
Yeah. Gina was one of our, as soon as she heard it, she immediately said, I want to get on the podcast. And I said, all right, we're going to get you on.
I'm like, I go to bed listening to these things, and I'm super interested in this. So it's fun.
I'm so excited for you to listen to this one.
Me too.
I only did it for the money.
Shout out my mom and my dad and my brother.
All of Gina's family, you're awesome. Is that a wrap, you guys?
Nikki, what do you want to... You got to wrap anything? Nikki's about to be a dad.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna be a
Nikki's
dad.
about to be a dad.
Looking for names for a baby girl. So if anyone has any recommendations.
Gina Blastoma Espinosa.
Love it. Well, I had a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for sharing this day with me.
Thank you,
Oh,
Gina.
thank you,
We love
G.
you.
We love you very much.
Love you guys.
All right. Well, you guys, Animal Fight Club, you're all part of the family. You're all part of the club. We'll see you next time. It was an amazing episode. And
Do we have any animals to give them for next time or no?
So that's actually an interesting question. So Quinn and Alexandrea are in Morocco right now on a vacation. So they are going to come back with hopefully some ideas with Moroccan animals that maybe they've encountered on their adventures.
I've heard they were looking into a camel, which I would be interested in.
Camel versus camel spider.
That would be an interesting
Oh,
matchup.
I want to know an insect one. I'm interested in the insects.
We can definitely do an insect here on the podcast. Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a surprise. We haven't made an official decision for the next one, but I'm sure it'll come soon. So, Animal Fight Club, we love you. We're out. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.